Welcome students. In this video, we are going to discuss in the Bazaars of Hyderabad by Sarojini Naidu. This poem is a celebration of Bazaars of Hyderabad, the marketplaces of Hyderabad that existed during her time when the British were here, and how she actually goes into detail, a vivid and colorful detail about how the Bazaars of Hyderabad were so rich and varied and had everything that Indians could need. It's a celebration of Indian commerce, Indian markets, Indian independence of to do trade on their own, which was not available to everyone in the under the rulership of the British at that time. Um, Hyderabad was a princely state, so it was not under the um, British mandate. So they, they did not rule this area. So there was uh, a considerable amount of liberty that people function here, and that is what she points to the rest of India, uh, of how things can be free, things can be enjoyed. So let us read through this poem on a very surface level understanding of what it is for our basic comprehension. So let us begin. What do you sell, O ye merchants? Richly your wares are displayed, turbans of crimson and silver, tunics of purple brocade, mirrors with panels of amber, daggers with handles of jade. So this is the first stanza. She goes, it's in the form of a question now. It starts with a question. It is similar to a question uh, that you ask when you enter a marketplace. What are you selling? What do you sell, O ye merchants? So it is as if the speaker, we can say that it's Sarojini Naidu herself, has entered the market, and she is giving us, the readers, that experience, that immediate experience of going and entering into the markets of Hyderabad, bazaars of Hyderabad, and putting this question, like throwing this question out there, so that the reply is what is sold over there. So, what do you sell, O ye merchants? Okay. So, this is a convention. You see that instead of you merchants, he uses ye merchants, which is a more archaic way of saying. It's not that in Sarojini Naidu's time everybody went around using this language, but this was considered more poetic. Actually, at a point of her life, when she started writing poetry, she always wrote about, she imitated the great poets of England, Blake and Milton and other romantics. And she was writing mostly about the larks and the summer in England, and all the things related to England. So one of her mentors actually took her aside and told her that, why are you writing about England when you stay in India? So start writing about India. And this is one of those poems actually that comes out um, from that realization that we as Indians, even if we are writing in English, we are supposed to be speaking about where we actually live, and where, and celebrate that reality that we actually inhabit. So, so she starts with, what do you sell? What do you sell, O ye merchants? Richly your wares are displayed. So all the products are displayed richly in front of them. Turbans of crimson and silver. She talks about turbans, okay, which was a big thing back then. So turbans of crimson and silver. So this red and silverish sort of turbans that people used to wear back in those days. That was a bigger thing back then. Tunics of purple brocade. So what we call as kurta here, she calls tunics. The English word she uses for kurtas of purple brocade. So says that purple colored tunics, mirrors with panels of amber. So even prized objects like mirrors with panels of amber and daggers. So daggers are these small sort of swords. Okay, shorter sort of swords that you see sometimes. Um, Daggers of handles of jade. So mirrors having panels of amber and daggers with jade. So all of these things that we would consider antique right now were something that mm, were found in markets back in those days. So in Hyderabad. So we'll go to the next stanza. What do you weigh, O ye vendors? So now there are vendors over here, okay? Weighing things and saffron, lentil, and rice. So the vendors are actually here selling saffron, lentil, and rice. Dal and rice. Saffron, all of you know, it's kesar. So, what do you grind, O ye maidens? So, there are maidens over there, young women, who are grinding something in the marketplace to sell it. So, they were grinding sandalwood, they were grinding henna and spice. So, there were maidens selling these three objects, grinding them up for sale. So, what do you call, O ye peddlers? Chessmen and ivory dice. So, peddlers are people who actually travel from place to place. They are also found in markets sometimes in India. So, vendors just sit there and uh, sell uh, things. Okay, everyday goods here. So, and notice how we moved from mirrors with panels of amber, daggers, and all of those costly items, turbans and all for special, richly wares are displayed. So something costlier, okay, pricey stuff, along with the same everyday things, the everyday groceries that we use, and things used for cosmetics also, like henna and sandalwood. Everything is to be found in this bazaar. So, what do you call ye peddlers, chessmen, and ivory dice? So, there was chess and ivory dice being sold. Board games are being sold over here. So, all the everyday objects and the costly objects, okay, everything is found there. She again comes to the goldsmiths now. What do you make, O ye goldsmiths? Wristlet and anklet and ring. So this is a back and forth in a way. This in this poem where she asks the question and gets replies. Wristlet, anklet, and ring. So wristlets or bangles. I think she's referring to bangles. Then anklets. Okay, well, you know how anklets are very popular. That goes around the ankle and the ring. Okay, so all of these rings and everything are being made. Okay, um, uh, in the market for to be sold. Bells for the feet of blue pigeons. Rain is a dragonfly's wing. Girdles of gold for dancers, scabbards of gold for the king. So she goes to goldsmiths who are selling rings, anklets, and wristlets. And then she talks about bells for the feet of pigeons. So back in those days, even now there are a lot of pigeons in Hyderabad, but they had a special purpose at that time. So basically, all the pigeons that you see that are a nuisance in the city, they were at one time domesticated for a particular purpose. They used to transport messages before there was email, so there was texting and everything. These blue pigeons had a particular purpose. So to you know carry for messages and letters, small letters and all. All of you have seen this in movies and all, but it was a reality back then. And there were bells, this light, frail bells that that were almost like dragonflies' wings, very frail and very light, so that it doesn't weigh down the bird. So they were, but it was an indication for that the bird has arrived. So that is why these bells were needed at that time. So she's talking about these frail bells also that they were found in this market. And then you have girdles of gold for dancers. There was girdles, okay? You see, even in weddings nowadays, women actually wear these girdles that goes around their waist, okay? Um, um, Mostly gold color or gold plated sometimes, gold or silver. So scabbards of gold for the king. The scabbards are, let me just show you quickly what scabbards are. Yes, it is this case, okay, into which the sword goes. So these are scabbards. Earlier she was talking about daggers, right? So this part over here, you see this outer covering, right, for the sword, for it to not cut anyone when the person is carrying it. Those are scabbards, where the swords are carried. So back in those days, like people out there, and it was a sign of mm, class and rank also to wear these scabbards um, with swords in them while going on. So, what do you cry, O ye fruit men? Citron, pomegranate, and plum. So, santras and pomegranates and plums, all these were being sold by fruitmen here. And then she asked the musicians, what do you play, O ye musicians? And they reply, sitar, sarangi, and drum. So, different types of musical instruments are being played. So there was entertainment also being sold. What do you chant, O magicians? Spells for aeons to come. So there are also magicians, and this at every Indian market, even now you see some of these people actually sitting there selling their magic potions or whatever, or giving all sorts of solutions, some quack solutions for the people's problems in their lives. So this is also going on in the market. So she talks about the magicians who use spells for aeons to come that will work for a long time. So these are the huge promises are made that with this spell you will be rich forever, or you will you will never have any troubles again, or something like that, right? So the spells are like the mantras basically, right? And she talks about aeons. Aeons is it comes from the Greek word which means something very similar to what is known in Sanskrit as yugas. Okay, all of you have heard about yugas, right? Age actually. So ages to come. That's what it means actually. Spells for ages to come. A long period of time is what this is aeons means actually. So let us read through the last stanza. What do you weave, O ye flower girls, with tassels of azure and red, crowns for the brown of a bridegroom, chaplets to garland its bed, sheets of white blossoms, new garnered to perfume the sleep of the dead. What is she talking about? She's talking about flower girls now, who are weaving flowers to be sold with tassels of azure and red. Azure is a kind of blue, and you can look up that color. Let me just show you. This is azure actually, the color that you see here. So tassels of azure and red, crowns for the brow of a bridegroom, chaplets to garland his bed. So for the crown of the brow of the bridegroom, there we need these tassels of flowers that have been made by these flower girls. chaplets of garland, so small sort of, you know, um, small sort of garlands. Yeah, they can't be garlands because they are not big enough. Small ones, basically. Chaplets to garland his bread. So, so those are used for the bridegroom and the bride, the for the what we call in India as first night and all, to actually decorate that. that that's what is needed. Sheets of white blossoms, new garnered. Sheets of white blossoms. Okay, so all of these sheets are being used, new garnered, to perfume the sleep of the dead. So look at the contrast here that she uses. She first talks about the bridegroom and the marriage, how it is used in that context, and then moves on to how this similar sort of sheets of white blossoms are used for the sleep of the dead. So she's talking about dead people here, funerals, of how it perfumes the sleep of the dead, as in it makes that last journey like uh, meaningful, and it perfumes that. It gives uh, a sweet odor to that. So she's talking about flowers that are used in all, from life to death, all everything. Okay, from to marriage to a funeral, uh, things that are for everyday, things for that are for special occasions, very costly things, and then you have things that are everyday things which are not that costly, things, actual things, and then you have music. They are not actually uh, selling this sitar and sarangi and drum, but playing the music. So intangible and tangible things being offered. So the whole five senses are involved. The whole, listening and listening to spells and listening to music. All of, I mean, it is a rich sort of experience with everything. So in an Indian market, you have everything. You don't need anything. And one thing that you actually noticed in this poem is not one of these things can be said having to do with anything with the British. None of these products are from the British. You can have all of this, okay, from birth to death, in every occasion, in every sort of product, but none of these things, none of these wares are, um, are an indication of our support or our dependence upon the British. So she's making a political point in a very veiled, what do you say, in a covert way. She's making that point that we don't need the British. We can have this much of a rich trade and market and everything um, by ourselves. So it's a very strong political point that she makes in this poem. I hope you understand all of this. Uh, we will deal with the analysis of this poem in the class. Thank you.